Hello, wonderful students. Today, you guys are going to be learning about subtracting functions. So what I want everyone to do is start off with the warm-up for today. Take 5 minutes at the beginning of class with your groups, work on the warm-up, and work on that spiral review. Pause this video, 5 minutes, work on the warm-up and spiral review. All right, now that hopefully you're done with the warm-up and spiral review, you did pause, right? I think you did. I believe in you. Let's take a look at the warm-up. What I want you guys to do is discuss with your groups which quadrant you thought didn't belong. Okay? I want you to ask each other, okay, what did you think, what did you think, what did you think? And try and share a reason. If your whole group picked the same one, why is that? Why did that one jump out to you the most? For the spiral review, this is just a reminder of what we were talking about previously yesterday. So let's take a look. The first question on that spiral review was r of x is equal to 22x to the third minus 2, and q of x is equal to negative 17x squared plus 9. Forgive my handwriting, it's especially bad there, but don't worry, I'll rewrite it because we're trying to figure out what r of x plus q of x is. Okay, and if you remember, when we're doing this addition, we're going to replace what is there with the value. So instead of r of x, I'm going to say what r of x is equal to, which in this case is going to be 22x to the third minus 2. Then we've got our plus, and q needs to be replaced as well. And the value of q was negative 17x squared plus 9. Notice that 17x squared is negative. If I wanted to, I could rewrite this as, instead of plus negative, I could rewrite this as minus. Whenever you see a minus, that's really what it's saying. I'm sure you guys have heard me harp on and on about how minus in negative means the same thing. This is what I mean by that. Minus means plus a negative. Okay. All right, anyway, let's combine some like terms. I want to go in descending order with my exponents. Do I have any other to the thirds? No. Okay, gonna rewrite it. 22x to the third. Do I have any x squareds? All right, looks like I do right here. So I'm gonna say minus 17x squared, but there's nothing else to combine it to. Do I have any regular x's? Not at all, so I'm not gonna bother with it. And then last, I have some constants here, some regular numbers. Negative 2 and 9, which would give me 7. And that's your answer for the spiral review, or at least the old question. Let's talk about the older question. Feel free to pause here if you need to get this written down. Let's talk about the older question. Ooh, try to erase. There we go. So in the older question, I was asking for the perimeter, the difference, and the area of this rectangle. Let's look at this rectangle, and then we'll remind ourselves what perimeter and area and length are. So we've got 17 by 6. We're assuming that this is a rectangle, because I say it's a rectangle. Rectangle means that the opposite sides are equal to each other. All right, so the first question is, what is the perimeter? A perimeter is the length around an object. So what I need to do is basically add up all these sides. But I don't know what these other sides are. Given that it's a rectangle, though, we should be able to figure that out. So this side must also be 6. And this side must also be 17. So if I want to figure out the perimeter is going to be all that added up. 6 plus 17 plus 6 plus 17. You may find some quicker ways to do this using multiplication, but in essence, perimeter is just adding up all the sides. So for our perimeter for this one, we're going to get 23 plus 23, which is 46. And if my math is wrong, it's okay. You can correct it on your own. But our perimeter is 46. If these were measured in like feet, we would say 46 feet. All right, let's expand on that. How much longer is the long side than the short side? What I want to know is what's the difference between the length of this one and the length of this one? Well, this one's 17, this one's 6, so the difference between those is 11. We actually find that by subtracting them. So the difference is 17 minus 6, which in this case is 11. Okay, easy peasy. Last, we gotta figure out area. If you remember, area, for a rectangle at least, is length times width. Our length is 17, and our width is 6. Now, some of you who are thinking ahead may be asking, well, why don't we say that this is the length and this is the width? Well, if you remember, with multiplication, the order doesn't matter. We could just as easily say that this is the length and this is the width, and we'd get the same answer. Anyway, we've got 17 times 6, which is, thinking, 102? So our area would be 102. Now, if I'm wrong about that, consult the students who are smarter than me, and they will tell you the answer. Awesome. Spiral review, done. Pause the screen if you need to get that written down. Remember, these notes will be graded just like any of the other notes. All right, erase the screen. I get to pop on to the next section. What I'd like you guys to do is take a break from listening to me for a bit, and I want you guys to take 15 minutes. I'm going to give you a whole 15 minutes on this. I want you to attempt to answer the same questions about a new rectangle as we just did in the spiral review. What I want to do is ask you, looking at this rectangle, which hopefully you can see, you can definitely see it on your paper, this rectangle with the functions on its side, I want you to figure out what the perimeter would be, which remember means to add up all the sides. So add up all the sides, not just the two we see, all the sides. I also then want to ask you what the difference is between the long side and the short side. If you can't figure out the answer, I want you to at least ask yourself how you would go about finding it. So if you can't figure it out, that's okay, but I do want you to ask yourself, okay, what would we do if we wanted to do this? So take 15 minutes, pause the video, do that. Okay, I'm assuming that you paused and you're done. So, what we found for area, or for perimeter, is that we need to add up all the sides. So what that's going to look like is 2x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 8 plus 2x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 8 plus 6x squared minus x plus 3 plus 6x squared minus x plus 3. Woo! A lot of math on this one. Let's combine some like terms. Our biggest exponent is to the 4th, so do I have any other to the 4th? Yes, I do. I've got 2x to the 4th and 2x to the 4th. That's going to give me 4x to the 4th power. Let's cross that out. All right, what about to the 3rd power? I don't see any to the 3rd power, so I'm not going to worry about it. What about squared? We got a couple squared. We got 6 squared, or 6x squared, 6x squared, 3x squared, and 3x squared, for a total of 18x squared. 18x squared. What about regular x's? We've got negative x, negative 7x, negative 7x, for a total of negative 16 x's minus 16 x's, and that gets rid of those. Ooh, a lot of crossing out here. And then last but not least, the constants, the regular numbers. We've got 3 plus 8 plus 8, which is a number, 22. Whew. A lot of writing on this one, but the math itself wasn't too tricky. It was just a lot of writing. So we ended up with 4x to the 4th plus 18x squared minus 16x plus 22. Easy. Well, not easy. Long, but not too bad. What about the other question? The other question is asking for the difference between the two lengths. Looking at our spiral review, the way we did that, the way we went about that, is by subtraction. Taking the long side and then subtracting off the short side. Which would mean that I'm taking the long side, which, let me use a different color on this. Long side is 2x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 8. And then we need to subtract the other side, which is 6x squared minus x plus 3. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this looks a whole lot like this, except even shorter. We have one small issue, though. Normally, I would just say combine the like terms and be done. But we weren't supposed to subtract off just 6x squared. We're subtracting off that whole side. So what I really need to do is put parentheses around the thing I'm subtracting, because I'm subtracting the whole thing. What ramifications are there to that parentheses? Well, it means that everything in there is being subtracted. Think back to when we put like if I put like a 3 in front of this. What would you do with that 3? Pause. 3, 2, 1. You'd probably distribute that 3. It would spread out to the other numbers, right? That's exactly what we're going to do, except we're going to do it with the negative. So that, I actually want to go back. There you go. So that negative needs to get distributed to everything. Negative, negative, and negative. So let me rewrite this. Got 2x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 7x plus 8 minus 6x. What is a negative 6x squared? Negative 6x squared. Easy peasy. Negative 6x squared. What is negative x? Well, negative is like asking the opposite of the opposite. Negative is positive. So plus x. And then what is a negative 3? Negative 3. Now we can combine these. We've dispelled the parentheses. It's gone. Let's combine like terms. Are there any x to the 4ths? Yes, we've got, let's use a different color for this. 2x to the 4th plus, do we have any x to the 3rds? Nope, but we do have an x squared. We've got 3x squared minus 6x squared. Let's get rid of this. 3x squared minus 6x squared is going to be negative 3x squared. Negative 3x squared. Okay, now we've got the regular x's. I've got negative 7x and then a positive x, which would give us negative 6x. And then lastly, I've got positive 8 and negative 3 for a grand total of positive 5. This is it subtracting. The only difference between subtracting a function and adding a function is that the second thing needs to have the negative distributed throughout it. I highly recommend, I know it's a lot of parentheses, I know it's a lot of writing, but I highly recommend writing parentheses, minus and then parentheses around the second thing to remind you to distribute that negative. What I would like you guys to do for the remainder of class is use this skill that you just learned to answer the questions on the guided examples, the practice examples, and the homework. I believe in you. You're going to do amazing. Please help each other out. If it said here, it stays here.